is Seema? Okay. Keep it brief, not a long song. Yeah.
Hari Om Swamiji. I am going to sing Marathi bhajan of Sri Brahma Chaitanyakar Gondavlekar Maharaj. This bhajan is about Sri Rama Stuti. नादातून या नाद निर्मितो श्रीराम जय जय राम. नाद निर्मितो मंगलधाम श्रीराम जय जय राम. चैतन्यात आहे राम श्रीराम जय जय राम. सत्संगाचा सुगंध राम श्रीराम जय जय राम. आनंदाचा आनंद राम श्रीराम जय जय राम. त्रिभुवनकारक आहे राम श्रीराम जय जय राम. सुखकारक हा आहे राम श्रीराम जय जय राम. श्रद्धा जेथे तेथे राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
शांती जेथे तेथे राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
सबुरी ठाई आहे राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
चैतन्याचे सुंदर धाम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
पुरुषोत्तम परमेश राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
निर्गुण सुंदर आहे राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
लावण्याचा गाभारा
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
कैवल्याची मूर्ती राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
चराचरातील स्फूर्ती राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
आत्म्या ठाई आहे राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
सगुणातही आहे राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
निर्गुण सुंदर आहे राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
जे जे मंगल तेथे राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
सुमंगलाची पहाट राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
सृष्टीचे हे चलन राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
राम भक्त नित स्मरतो राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
हनुमंताच्या हृदयी राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
जानकी वल्लभ राजस राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
चराचरातील आत्मा राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
समर्थ वचनी रमला राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
कुलभूषण रघुनंदन राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
भक्ती रंगी खुलतो राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
कौसल्या सुध हृदय निवास
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
सीतापती कैवल्य प्रमाण
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
पत्नी परायण सीताराम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
लक्ष्मण छाया देविश्राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
आदर्शाचा आदर्श राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
एक वचनी हा देव महान
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
एक वचनी हा देव महान
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
श्रीराम जय जय राम
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
श्रीराम जय जय राम.
श्रीराम जय जय राम. Very good. Thank you. Good. You made everybody do Sri Ram Jai Ram. That is good. Participatory is better. how to bridge the gap between intellectual understanding and actual realization of my true nature. Despite cognitive understanding, why are we not able to experience the reality of our being? What are obstacles which impede this intellectual understanding to evolve into an experiential reality? Question is clear? Okay. Do you want to experience Brahman or what? We have to be very cautious with these words. What do we mean by experiential? Oh, your battery is running low. Okay. Okay. Slow, slow. Don't fall on the way. So, what do we mean by experiential reality? Everything you are experiencing is reality. There is no experience without reality. Pot. Is it real? You can say, no, clay is real. But what you are experiencing, the experiencing is reality. Nobody can question the reality of experiencing. We are only questioning whether you are experiencing a pot or clay. Experiencing is real. Every experience is reality experience. Can you see minus the experience? There is only reality. Experience changes. Reality remains unchanged. Can you understand that reality? It is not that you have an intellectual understanding and you have actual realization. This word realization I haven't used so far. This is coming from somewhere else. Neither have I used the word intellectual understanding. This is all somewhere it's coming from. Somewhere you read, somewhere you heard. Understandable. But Swamiji will say, there are only two things you can realize. One is interest on an investment and an error. Okay? So, it is better to use the word knowledge. I am asking you, do you see clay or not? If you say, intellectually I understand it is clay, but how do I experience it? You tell me what experience is required. What you are experiencing is clay. And you say, I understand, but I only experience a pot. Then what should I do? You need to understand this pot is nothing but clay. It's just knowledge. Dayananda Memorial, I will always remember. Whether it's memorial or not, Dayananda will always be in my head. What will he say? Where does any understanding takes place? Where does any understanding take place? Intellectual or somewhere else? Is there a dental understanding? This is what Swamiji will ask. Is there a dental understanding? Then you have transdental understanding? No. Words we use, we have to be very cautious because every word indicates my understanding of reality. So, the fact is, if everything is Brahman and I don't experience it, it's not true. You are experiencing Brahman only. Experiencer is Brahman. Experienced is Brahman. There is nothing but Brahman. That's the reality. Then if you say I don't experience it, there's only one possibility. What is that possibility? We don't know. I'm looking at the pot and I miss clay, which means it is nothing but not understood clearly. Or understood, but the orientation is it's only a pot. So that orientation can be a problem. And that will take, as I said, it takes time to unwind the orientation. But if the understanding is not clear, orientation is not the problem. Because you cannot change your orientation unless your understanding is straightened out first. So the most important thing is, do we understand? The words we use is we have an indirect understanding. That's what you perhaps mean. What it means is this. It looks like everything I say makes sense to you. It looks like you understand. But it doesn't work. Which means this understanding has to be what we call aparoksha. Aparoksha means what? It is not with the mind intervening. You don't need to think. Suppose I ask, what is your name? How much thinking will you do? Fatak, the answer will come. Why? That is kind of aparoksha. I mean, it's very innate. If I come and knock at your door at 1 in the night and ask, who are you? You will not have a hesitation to say who you are. Which means the understanding is innate. So Shankara says, when your understanding, which is I am Devadatta, that with the same conviction, when you can say, I am Jagat Karanam Brahma, I am all that is here, then it is called knowledge. Nishtha means that. Means you can't miss it. It's not like you have to think and say something. It's become your identity. You can forget other things, but you can't forget yourself. The forgetter is not forgotten. Therefore, the problem is one of knowing what it is clearly. And then, if there is an orientation issue, to deal with it. Is that clear? Relating to Bhishma's story of sacrifice for his father, with all due reverence for Bhishma's love for his father and commitment to his words, my question is somewhat related to the source of such self-sacrificing and altruistic tendencies we have in ourselves. Do these tendencies also come from a lacking ego only, which feels full by giving and doing things for others? To put it another way, from the absolute perspective, does Bhishma's act of sacrifice here point to an unconditional expression of love coming from a space of wholeness and limitlessness, or it is also an attempt of the lacking ego acting out of a sense of doership? Till the time self-realization fully dawns in our experiential reality, are there any yardsticks to evaluate the authenticity of experiences at the outer and inner level to check if they are coming from a state of fullness or yet another glorified ego trip? How to avoid such pitfalls? Glorified acts of ego in the name of sacrifice, self-righteousness, and so on a spiritual journey. See, we can't exactly say what's Bhishma's. Bhishma was a very evolved soul. We can't say exactly what was in his mind. But it is not coming from fullness. Bhishma was not a jnani. At that age, certainly he is not a jnani. And if he was a jnani, he would have probably gone with dharma and not stayed with his. See, Bhishma is an archetype to show that once you give a word, you don't move. While Ramayana is considered to be a straight, what Rama did was dharma. Rama is called Vigrahavan Dharma, straight. Krishna is not straight, Tribhanga. So you have to interpret Mahabharata a lot. Just because Bhishma did it is not necessarily dharma. Just because Drona did it is not dharma. So we have to interpret the law. It's not black and white. So what exactly Bhishma's thing was, whether he did it as an ego trip, doesn't look like it. But he had this thing that once I've given a word, I won't move. That probably he had, that I'm a person who won't move from my word. That's a possibility. And the question is that the most important value? Or what is to be done should be done? There it looks like a situation of losing the war but winning a battle. He kept his word all right. He never wanted Duryodhana to win. He tried hard to dissuade, but he never said, I won't fight for you. If he had said that, perhaps Duryodhana, or if he had said, I won't fight you and I will join Yudhishthira, Duryodhana probably said, forget it, I'm not going to win this one. But he didn't do it. He didn't even order Dhritarashtra, why are you doing this? He didn't change anything. He just kept his word. That may be a little on the, saying, once I've given a word, I won't change it. This is an attitude which you could change because you made a particular decision at some point. Examine it serving the real cause. Hastinapura was destroyed because of this war. Could have been saved, perhaps. So that's how it could be looked at there. So in general, how do we know whether we are making right choices or their ego trip? You have to examine each one. What's your motivation? Because only we know what's our motivation, right? We don't know about others. We know our motivation. And in general, if you say it's out of fullness, then honestly, you will make a choice and there won't be any conflict. Because it's coming out of fullness. The outcome doesn't matter for you. The situations don't matter to you. Even before coming to Jnanam, you have that attitude of saying situations are not what I'm after. I'm after that which does not depend on situations. Therefore, when would one manipulate a situation? When one depends on the situation for one's comfort. If you're crossed that, then the reason for you to do something which is incorrect is likely very low. But out of misunderstanding or misinterpretation of dharma, one can do what is not to be done. But I don't think it will be an ego trip. But if I am depending on situations and I have a feeling of very poor self-image, self-judgment, then it is possible. Like Swamiji would say, while Karna is called, Danashura Karna, the great giver, Swamiji says that giving was not because he wanted to give. That giving was because he had a pressure to give, pressure to be known as the greatest giver. Even when Indra comes and takes away his Kavacha Kundalam, which was his armor, Karna is warned by his father Surya, don't give it. He will come asking, that will be your undoing, don't give it. Karna says, no, I will give. And Indra blesses him. Not Dirghayushman Bhava, he can't say that. So what did he say? Suryaiva, Chandraiva, Nakshatraiva, Tishtatu te Yasha. He will be famous. That's all. You will go. That was a blessing. That's what he wanted to, Yashas, name. Because he always felt that I'm a Kshatriya. And everybody, that feeling of a Kshatriya is very strong. And everybody calls him Sutaputra, insults him. That Kshatriya is irrepressible in him. And he was always looking for that recognition. That's why Duryodhana became a great friend. Because Duryodhana says, you are my friend. You are Angarajana. You are an equal. Who did that for him? Nobody else. So he was willing to do anything for him. So in their ego trip. So we have to look very carefully. External action is hard to interpret. And even the person doing it may not know it's an ego trip. If you know it's an ego trip, that's a deception. Kind of. But if you don't know, even you don't know, that's the psychological situation you are in, that you don't know that you're doing something. So for example, a person who has a very low self-opinion will quite likely find a partner who has an even worse self-opinion if they're doing it on their own. And their claim to fame is that person depends on them for their well-being. That's what gives them the kick. There's somebody who looks up to you. But why does he look up? Because he is in worse he is in worse situation. And it's never recognized. And that marriage is almost doomed. Because both of them want the other to approve of them. Sometime it may work. You don't know when it will go. But it is done thinking that you love that person. That person is... And that person looks up to you also. But the reason is very different. It's not genuine. So these things are extremely difficult to tell. Objectivity is not easy because the one who is trying to be objective is the one who is subjective. In fact, the ultimate thing is you cannot be totally objective. You can only be objective if you say it is impossible to be totally objective. That's when you're objective. I am subjective if you say you're objective. That's how it is. So it's very difficult to guess. We have to pay attention and see. And especially if you are aware of your own psychology or what kind of tendencies you have, you can look. Is this really why I'm doing it or I'm on a trip? You can try doing it. Okay? Elaborating on our question related to transferability of karmas. I understood your answer that while karmas are not directly transferable, but the impact of those karmas does not affect the others. So in a way, doesn't mean that the karma ended up being transferred only. In the example of mother-child karmic connection, the experiences of mother affect the life of her child in all dimensions. So what is the difference between transferability of karma to others vis-a-vis an indirect impact of one's karma on others? Can we consciously transfer our good? That's the second part, okay. First, question is, can you transfer your karmas to somebody else? So my answer is no. If I can transfer, it's interesting. I mean, it is, the Puranas will talk about this possibility sometimes. Like I told you, Yayati wants to be young. And he is told, if somebody is willing to give you the youth, you can go. Can you give youth to somebody? These questions, I can't answer exactly what it means. It could just be a way to present something. Or that possibility, see if it's there, it's there. But in general, possible transfer of karma is not a possibility. But what I said yesterday was, see, all of us are here together. Why? This is what I'll say. It is your karma to suffer me and my karma to suffer you. Equal, okay? Or your karma to experience me, mine to experience you. And you have to experience all the other people. Now the point is, your karma, her karma, all our karmas are intertwined. It's not you transferring. The karmas require a unique solution so that all our karmas find a solution in the situation that we are in. So you can't say, I'm transferring my karma. My karma is my karma. Your karma is your karma. Her karma is her karma. But all the karmas at this point, they require us to be in this hall. There's no transferability. It's just when the karmas require each other's presence, we are together. That's it.
So basically I was asking in a negative connotation. Karmas, like karmas of ancestors, do they get transferred to the
No.
other child?
No. People will say this sometimes. Like if you go to an astrologer, some of them will tell you, you have sarpa dosha. What does it mean? Some of your ancestors have killed a snake. And they will say, sometimes they will say, some ancestors of yours did not get taken care of properly. They were not given the obsequies properly. These are all things they say. And they will say, if you do all this, or your Kula Devata was not taken care of. That is why you are suffering so much. What should I do? Okay, do one Sarpa Samskara. We call it Sarpa Samskara. So you will go somewhere and you will do one Samskara. See, ultimately it's a model. It's a model. And a model, sometimes the words are not exactly what they mean. Snake may not mean snake. For example, in an astrologer, if you go and ask him, he will say, your Shani is debilitated, or something like that, It's Uchcha, it is Nicha. What does this mean? Hey, does that planet out there affect me? Does any moon's position affect me? No. But that's the language. What they have really is a correlation between the time of birth and what the stars are aligned at that time, that gives an insight into the possible situations of life unfolding for that person. That's the model. But now it's purely karma. but presented in terms of that model, saying Shani in this position indicates that, Buddha in this position indicates that, this is Rahu Dasha, this is Ketu Dasha, this is Sade Sati. This is all a model. Shani doesn't do anything to me. Poor Venus is shining brightly. What will it do to me? Buddha. But they will say, oh, Kuja Dosha or Buddha Dosha, they will say. Kuja is Mercury. Huh? Mars, correct. So, I'm saying, we don't take them literally. There is no karma transfer. So, if they did something wrong, see what happens is this. Let us say an ancestor didn't do something right. That effect will actually come down as Drishtaphala also. Two ways, Drishta and Adrishta. Suppose they didn't do right. Their karma is to have children who won't probably understand things. Because their prarabdha. And that will pass on as generations. So in that way you can say, but not direct passing on karmas.
Swami, along the same line, when we talk of the earthquakes or the flight cancer, so people, that samohik karma or something.
Yeah, that is collective karma.
That's collective karma. Yes.
Look, karma ki gati nyari. You can never ever say this is karma and this is free will. You can never totally say it. So, there could be an abuse of free will also. Not an earthquake, but an air crash. Like somebody decided to take their plane and hit the building. That is not purely karma. There is karma involved, because why only those people had to be on that plane? That may be karma, but the fellow hit the plane deliberately, the abuse of free will.
No, not that person. I'm talking the people who were on the plane.
Okay. No.
So
So all I'm saying is, it's difficult to say whether it's purely their karma or abuse. Take a person, single person, okay? One person kills another. One person murders another person. Now, is it abuse of free will or is it his karma or both? It's hard to clearly say what is what. There is abuse involved, and why he was the one who got abused, there is some karma involved. But if there is abuse involved, you couldn't predict he will get this. So I'm saying, we say gahana karmano gati. You cannot clearly predict or say exactly what was what. Understand there is free will and there is karma. That much is good enough for us. Can we consciously transfer our good karmas to others? You can pray for others. And you pray for others means the credit for the karma goes to him, not to you. So you go to temple and say, do puja on my father's behalf. Karma phala is supposed to go to father, not to you. But you got the karma done for your father, for that you will have some karma, punya. Because you reached out. You will get that. But the karma result will go to your dad. Okay? Then, can a guru absorb and burn the impact of a negative karma of students and prevent a forthcoming tragedy by invoking Ishvara's grace upon the student? Do prayers and guru's grace have the power to mitigate someone's karma and change the direction of her life? You find stories like this, all right. But Swamiji would normally not buy this. He would say, see, look, karma phala is in Ishvara's hand. So, it is possible that the Shishya had some samskaras due to which he can get that grace. And that grace appears when he goes to the Guru. And the Guru also makes a prayer and say, may all be well. But they will also talk of a Jnani having a similar status like Ishvara. So, this is Upanishad, so we cannot deny it. Atmajnam archayet bhuti kama, Mundaka Upanishad. Which means, a person who wishes some welfare, even in samsara, he worships the Atmajnani, he will get it. He can get it. Because the worship of an Atmajnani is equal to worshipping Ishvara. Therefore, the phala will come, karma phala will come. Not that the Jnani gave the phala, but the phala will come, part of the order. That kind of thing is there. And some people, as I told you, will talk of Shaktipat. like you will hear in Guru Charitra in Marathi, they will say that there was somebody who came to debate something, and this Guru put Vibhuti on one person who didn't study Veda and he could argue eloquently. You hear these things. Exactly how it works, did it mean it literally? It's hard to say. I won't comment on it. Okay? Because sometimes, are we just denying the possibilities? We don't want to. So, for example, now, are there different devatas or not? This Vedanta sometimes creates trouble, okay? So you say everything is Ishvara, it's all order. So there is no need for one Hanuman sitting there, one Lakshmi sitting there, one Saraswati, one Brahma. You don't need all this. Are they there or not? So Brahma Sutra will say, can you disprove it? No. Is it contradicting anything else you have? Any means of knowledge? No. Then give it the benefit of doubt. If Shastra says, you say it must be there. Nothing is lost. That's the attitude. Therefore, if it's there, it's there. But it's not within the realm of what we understand in general. Because there are siddhis also. Some people have certain siddhis. They can do some things. That's not... See, in study of Vedanta, we normally don't go. We first dismiss karma phala. Na karmana. We begin there. So, karma means doing. Freedom is only by knowing. So, we normally don't worry too much about this karma. Okay? How do I discern and gracefully accept the way events have unfolded in life are purely God's will and not due to any lack of knowledge and action on my part? How and when to draw the line between God's will and personal responsibility action? The two are not separate. Your free will is within Ishvara. It's not outside. Your free will is part of Ishvara's order. To the extent you are allowed freedom, you have freedom. Therefore, it is not that there is purely Ishvara's will and will. In fact, Ishvara's will is as karma phala for your karma and everybody else's karma. He doesn't have his own intention at all. He has no agenda. Ishvara is purely it's like, the whole software is provided. You can book your ticket to London or to New York or to Bangalore. It makes no difference. System is the same. If you book to New York, you'll get a New York ticket. You book to London, you'll get it. So what determines what will happen is your free will. But can you book your ticket to Timbuktu? There's no flight. You can't do. What the possibilities are all given by Ishvara. And given what you did, if it can result in what you wanted, it will happen. This is how you understand it. So it is not that there's a line. God did this, you did this. Can't draw a line. What is given is prarabdha. That's also karma. Past karma. Past free will, present free will. Of all people in the universe. There is nothing else but that. Ishvara is only he is running the show. Huh? No. That's why we call him Antaryam. He knows even your mind. He knows everything. He knows karma phalas, past, present, future. He knows everything. It's a huge problem. Network of karmas has to be resolved in one single solution. And that solution is what you see as the Jagat. So you cannot draw a line. This is Ishvara. We don't need to blame Ishvara for anything because Ishvara doesn't do anything out of his own will. It's not a guy sitting there. I'll get you. Or, okay, one laddu for you. Why? I like you. Doesn't work that way. We'll say he likes. We'll say Ishvara Prityartham. To please Ishvara, I'm doing this karma. How do you please Ishvara? It's not pleasing Ishvara. Your papa is what is against you. By doing karma, you nullify or mitigate your papa karma. That's all you can do. There is no other Ishvara Priti except by doing what you have to do.
So drawing the line in terms of when to stop exerting, when to stop exerting. That, okay, beyond this point.
You decide whether you want to change something. And you exert. There is no beyond a point. If you think it can change, keep exerting till you are tired. And you can't do anything, you give up. Frustration. Or you keep trying. Find a different way of doing it. All things are possible, right? But there is no such rule. It's up to you. If you figure out that I'm only breaking my head, the ball's not breaking, give up. You understand a ball won't break. I have to use the door. Right? That's the idea. So, to that extent, you are totally free to break your head. You are free to let go. When will you let go? Either when you decide it can't change or when you accept what is. If you don't accept it, it's hard to let go. And you have a choice to do, to not do, to do differently. That's your choice. Okay. Discussion on moksha is taking place in class 1 probably. Okay. So moksha is also not described as moksha is end of cycle of birth and death. Yeah, it's also described that way. At stage of moksha, no desire is left. No body is required to be given to fulfill desires. No sthula, sukshma and karana shiraj is needed now. The Atma then get merged with Paramatma. Is it equivalent to your saying that when one recognizes the subject is he, object is he, both become one, Advait, no duality remains, and that is moksha? See, when we say, where is the questioner? Is he here? Ah, there you are. I'm looking for you there. All right. So, when we say no more life, end of cycle of life and death, why do we take birth? Because of karma. Who has karma? The one who says I am the karta. What is moksha? To see I am not a karta. The minute you say I am not a karta, no more janma for you. That's all the idea is. Okay? So I did not present it that way. This is a traditional way of looking. Partly because in general your life is all about after life there is life. There is life after life. What will be life after life? You will travel somewhere. Where will you travel to? Generally, you will travel to Swarga or Naraka or some loka you will go to. Therefore, this idea is extended further. Moksha also is a travel. It's extended. You travel. But you travel to a destination from which you won't come back. There is no such travel from where you can't come back. If you travel in time, you will come back in time. So that is just a way of talking. Right? And that really means you are not born again. So we say it is Jivan Mukti. Means what? While alive you are freed. Then is there a Mukti after the body drops? There's a word for it also. Huh? Videha Mukti, correct. Videha Mukti. But what does that mean? It, from the perspective of the person who got Jivan Mukti, it means nothing. Because he was Mukta already. Body dropping is just an event. From the perspective of the world, they will say, now he got Videha Mukti. Makes no difference to us. Okay? So our focus is on Jivan Mukti. Videha Mukti means it's all belief for you. After dying, I will be free. Who knows, you will be free or you will be Naraka, we don't know. So, better to solve the problem here. And Gita says it very clearly. Antakale. You know, even if in the last minute you understand, Brahma Nirvana Mrichati, second chapter, last verse. Okay. You said moksha is not an experience. Moksha is being equipoised. Attaining moksha and knowing Atma, practically, not theoretically, is it the same? Okay. Moksha is not an experience, correct. Is it equipoised? No. Equipoise is karma yoga. Samatvam. At a relative level. Equipoise is there, but you still feel I am a small fellow. You are not free. You are doing karma, you are karta bhokta. Then what is moksha? Equipoise must be there because you already have it as an adhikaritvam. And you no longer think there is anything other than yourself. That is the equation. I see Mahatmas and have read about them having extraordinary powers like Siddhis. after that revealing experience of being one with Almighty. What is that then? Look, even if you don't want, if you do certain karmas, the phala will come to you. Bhagavan doesn't ask you, should I give or not? You did a karma, you will get the phala. And these some people on the path to this inquiry also, they are doing certain karmas, some upasanas they are doing. And it may give some results. And the result may be in the form of siddhis. But that is not the goal if the person is a mumukshu. His goal is only moksha. If he goes for siddhi, it's considered an obstacle. So, siddhis are accepted as karma phala. Like what? See, siddhis you will hear of. Funny siddhis. Anima. What does anima mean? Become small. You can become so small like a mosquito or a fly and you can go out. What do you do with that siddhi? Huh? I know. Okay. Anima, Garima, like this you have so many. And you can read others' mind. One mind itself you read, you have a problem. If you can read everyone's mind, what will happen to you? Is it useful? I don't know. But somebody has a value for it. He can see everybody's mind. What's happening in your mind? I know. What's happening in your mind? I know. Now what will I do with that? I know everybody. Now I'm worried more. How many people are trying to get me? I don't know. So these are, we say, a person who has gained this knowledge, all siddhis are as though accomplished by them, because siddhis also, people who go after siddhi, go after it because that is what they feel they lack. Having that, I'll become somebody. I have a siddhi. And even if they have a siddhi, they are still lacking. They still think, I am not good enough. I need to do something more. Therefore, moksha means you have an absolute freedom from any need. Okay? Even in my meditation, I am limited to form-based Ishvara, probably because of training since childhood. How do I learn to see Ishvara as the limitless, all-pervading? Or rather, how do I shed this practice of looking for Ishvara in a form? Can you please recommend a process, order of learning Vedanta? Oh, that's different. Okay. See, this is a difficult one. Because when you have learned in a particular way, if you've deliberately trained yourself to look in a particular way, you can't switch off that mindset just like that. It's not something you can do by choice totally. But did you do meditation only prayers? Japa you have done. Okay. So now, if you have done japa with a given name, you can try probably, you have a cognitive understanding of what we've talked now. You deliberately try to understand Ishvara in that way. Second thing that may help you in the interim is you use a different mantra. If you are doing japa with a particular mantra, there your mind will always go that way. Now use a name which you are not familiar with. Hopefully your mind will not go and catch that image now. You now start with this new understanding. There is nothing wrong with an image, but the understanding you keep. Right? So you read this book called Ishvara in One's Life. I'll tell to everybody you read that book, but I'm saying you read that book. So you get a good grounding about what do we mean by order of Ishvara, everything is. Then you, as I said, it may be helpful to use a different, because one mantra you've been doing for a long time, that is hard to change. It won't go away. Even if it's your Ishtadevata and you have made a vow, you chant minimum for that. So you don't feel you have given up mantra. Pick up another mantra. Right? And with that mantra, you orient yourself correctly. That would probably help you. Otherwise, you can do with your current mantra, but you will take a more sincere effort and perhaps for a longer time to reorient yourself. It is a little hard. Any orientation is hard to change quickly. Okay. Can you recommend a process order of learning Vedanta? what we've done now is the first step. We have not gone into depth of things in a great depth, but we have seen the whole gamut of what it involves. Purushartha Nishchaya, what is the purpose of life? Then how to gain the preparedness. First, Purushartha Nishchaya means you have to already have some Vairagya Viveka. Then how to gain the Adhikaritvam, how to gain the right attitudes, knowing more of Ishvara. Then how to make the mind be able to stay with one by learning some japa or some technique like that, right? And then the need for Shastra study, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam. So we have touched all the areas, but you have a good bird's eye view of the whole process. Now, where you need to work on is the question. So, one very good resource is Bhagavad Gita. Very good resource. So, here, if you're looking in this parampara, then Pujya Swamiji has one book called Vision of the Gita. There's another book called Teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. There's one more book called Bhagavad Gita Home Study Course. These are three books on Gita and one more which is just Gita verses and meanings. 4 books of Swamiji are available. In addition to that, not books, but you have several class series on Gita, parts of it. So first, I would say you look at Vision of the Gita. So you are very clear about what's the vision of the whole Gita, which is not different from what we are talking. Additionally, what Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga will be clearly explained, Sankhya and Karma Yoga. Then if you find something, you will find something on Karma Yoga. Focus first on understanding and bringing that attitude of Karma Yoga into our life. It's a big step. It's necessary, right? Along with that, you bring some practices like japa, meditation, bring them in. When you have a reasonable understanding of Gita, that is Vedanta only, nothing different. Why I'm saying Gita? Because it will not only help you understand Vedanta, it will help you live your life meaningfully right now, whether you come to Jnanam or not. That is not a benefit you get from Upanishad. Upanishad will straight away assume you have a lot of Viveka Vairagya and it will start telling you what is knowledge. And that knowledge doesn't enter because you have no Viveka and Vairagya. It's the hard part. So Gita is a great book because it will keep you well connected all the way. Then another book typically we do, before you do Upanishad especially, for Gita you don't need it if you ask me. Tattva Bodha is a book. That book is a book really of definitions almost, all terms, definitions, and gives you a quick run of the entire prakriyas in Vedanta. Karyakarana prakriya, avasthatraya prakriya, drigdrishya, all these will come. The prakriyas are all covered. But the book, personally, I find it's not very inspiring to me. I don't find it inspiring. There's no storyline. To make a learning lively, Kathopanishad is a beautiful thing. It's got a nice storyline and it's got a lot to teach also. Chandogya, I told you one story today. There are more stories like that. Not that story is important, but it helps you to learn. Right? So if you are going further for Upanishad study after Gita or even in parallel after some time, then you can start with Katha or Mundaka. Good Upanishads to start with. Then you go on to Kena. Katha, Mundaka, either Mundaka or Katha first, then the other one. For Bhashyam study, Katha Upanishad comes first. Easiest Bhashyam, if you go there. If you're going for commentary, I'm saying, okay? I'm just giving you possible steps. Then you go for perhaps Taittiriya. But Taittiriya will be very technical. It will not have, no story again. Very little story. Alright? Then Chandogya Shashtadhyaya, that's also quite technical. But probably less than Taittiriya. Chandogya Shashtadhyaya could be done before Taittiriya also. It's nice. Then I'm saying what we do in a 3-year course typically, okay? By the way. Next life. Then you come to me in next life. If you and I come, we'll talk, okay? Huh? No. Look, I'll tell you something. You ask me the path, I'm telling you. But you know what? You could walk away from here and say, I'm free. It's possible. It depends on your preparedness. If you're prepared, it's like this. It is not that you study all the Upanishads. One Upanishad can deliver the goods. One public talk can deliver the goods. It depends on where you are. Otherwise, Nachiketa would have to go and do Chandogya after Katha. It won't work. It doesn't work. Okay? So don't think that it's not like you have to do one list. It's not like a laundry list or a shopping list. Until you are free, you do. In fact, you ask me, I will tell you, Swamiji said, listen only to public talks also you can get moksha. Why not? But you need that kind of a mind. Okay? And I didn't say about Gita Home Study course. Once you have commitment to Gita, then good to pick up Gita Home Study because it's very elaborate. The reason I don't ask people to start with that is I feel you might be overwhelmed by the volume. Such a big bundle of books. Abba, I will start next month. Then next month you will say next month. You won't start at all. So better to first get grounded, and now your inspiration should make you want to study. Then it's a good time to pick it up. And if you are more interested in other languages, then Tamil also there may be something. So I'm just saying, there's Tamil Gita Home Study also if it interests you. All right. I find momentary situations of intense joy or get moved by what I see or hear. This happens when listening to a song or singer, seeing something phenomenal in nature, or watching a video or movie. Are these examples of when subject-object is separate, or is it a case of being in fusion? I would say it's more likely to be in fusion, not separate. Sometimes this feeling is there when I just keep silent and I'm doing nothing and I'm with myself, possibly with less thoughts. Possible there also. It's not fusion there. There is no subject-object out. See, when you're quiet, there is no subject, there is no object. If you can keep really quiet, that is maunam. Mano maunam, not vak maunam. Right? That can be wonderful. So it's not fusion, but it doesn't need a fusion because there is no split to start with. Do any of these have a connection with being in moksha, though momentarily? Yes. In fact, as I told you, if you don't know what is moksha, it's no use going after it. So moksha is indeed that comfort level that you enjoy in moments of joy. So all of these are that alone. In fact, any joy is only an expression, a manifestation of that freedom that I am. That's what is the window. That's why Ananda is a window to what moksha is about. But the difference is what? It's not an event. It doesn't start and end. It doesn't depend on anything. It's just you. Despite everything, it's not that you have to close anything out. Everything continues and you're okay. Okay. Is in experiential pain, there is no subject-object fusion, so I can still attempt to objectify it. But in experiential happiness, there is subject-object fusion like we learned today, which means there is no subject to objectify it. I said that in a way, and I also said that you can objectify and see that it was less happier than before, etc. There is some element, okay? Okay, so does it mean in my Swarupa Ananda, okay, so does it mean it is my Swarupa Ananda shining there? Absolutely. Every experience of happiness is Swarupa Ananda. Matram etam upajivanti. Indradayaha. Everybody's happiness, even Indra's happiness, is only a drop of that. They present it as though it's a ball, it's a, There's an ocean of Ananda, and from that one drop is Indra's Ananda. So what to talk of your Ananda? One micro drop is enough, okay? But Swarupa Ananda only. Okay. Though brought about conditionally and also stays only temporarily, correct. But is it right then to conclude that any Ananda, be it experiential even, is Swarupananda only? Yes. Or unconditional Swarupananda is something entirely different? It's not. If it is entirely different, then you are running after something you don't know. That doesn't work. Then you have to re-examine. Am I going after something which I really want or not? In avidya, we seem to have innocently concluded many things as sukha hetu. Some seem strong too. So to neutralize them, what is the way? Do we need to attend to them independently? Can you take an example of, say, imposition of happiness on relationships? Or is the alternate route wiser, where one starts to a sincere parallel effort of consistent Shravana Manana, and these will be dismissed by the way? Shravana Manana is useful, but it still needs application here in terms of seeing where I'm going wrong. So let's take, for example, a relationship, right? So there are certain relationships where I put a lot of weight. They are more important for me in life. And I think this relationship, if it's not there, I'm not there. This relationship is causing me a lot of pain. It's possible, right? Either way, it's possible. You examine that now. Is the relationship really the situation causing the problem, or is that how I look upon the relationship? Again, we have to be objective. Relationships, till we are in Vyavahara, are not unimportant. So we don't want to unnecessarily do damage to ourselves in extra enthusiasm, right? But how would you examine? You would say, if you put so much weight on the relationship, when you examine it, you will find it is not true. You will see that, the more you impute to the relationship, the more you get caught up in it. But if you have that space, relationship is there. You respect it. You do what you can. But relationships can go wrong. There can be misunderstandings, and you can address them as and when they happen. It doesn't mean it's end of a relationship or a lot of trouble. It just means that I don't necessarily, say for example, a person gets married. Now you find somebody who you start to trust, hopefully, because it's a relationship for a long term. You trust the person, the other person trusts you. When this trust happens, apparently the unconscious, which went in when the child was very young, when the more you become comfortable, comfortable, in that trusting situation, this order is the unconscious is released. How much trusting you are, how comfortable you are, that proportionate to that unconscious is released, assuming you are able to handle it. Now when you get married, you are looking forward to a relationship, and this unconscious comes out. And how does it come out? How does it manifest? You project on the other what you suppressed as a child. So you might say, if dad was strict with you, you say to your husband, you are like that. Or he sees his mother or sister in you. And it has nothing to do with you. But you may hear things which you don't know what to do. And he loves you a lot, and suddenly he is very upset with you. You don't know what to make out of it. It seems inconsistent. This also happens in a teacher-student relationship. When some student comes and says, Swamiji, you're wonderful, everything is good, and after a few days he will say, I hate this, Swami. You don't know what hit you. Swamiji would say, be careful, transference. This is called transference. It can happen. So if you are well informed, I'm saying this typically happens when you put a lot in the relationship. You keep it where it belongs, and also when things go wrong, you be objective and examine Objectivity is the key. You can't know everything about transference. You don't know you have transference necessarily. But sometimes you can, if you know it about it, when you see things which, suppose you get a out of proportion response for a small thing, you can almost be sure it has nothing to do with what happened now. It is some unconscious coming out. And if you respond to that and say, why did you respond like that? Then it will only go into a conflagration. You have to know and address it in a way where it can be addressed. So that's how you have to look at it. Okay? Okay. You had mentioned that in avidya our orientation is strong. And so even after understanding everything clearly, one may still need to deliberately work on reorienting oneself. Can you speak more on how one reorients oneself? How does this happen? What is the method? Method, once you understand, if only it's a matter of reorientation, we call it nididhyasana. And it's two types. One is close-eyed. One is open-eyed. In close-eyed, you have two methods. One is using the words of the Shastra. The second is you use situations that come, any situation. First, you start with words of the Shastra because that's how we do Shravana Manana. So you know, if you say, like what I'm trying to introduce to you in the morning. Today I said, avyayoham, asangoham, nityoham. Each of these words has a meaning. You should have understood the meaning. And now, after your japa, everything is over, you're just a conscious being, you try to bring that truth to bear on your mind. You do it for length of time and do it for longer time. Then hopefully it will happen. In time, this will extend to more of your day. Suppose it for 1 hour in the morning, for next 1 hour probably you will be in somewhere in that zone. Right? So this is the first step. Then you can try to do without a mantra, any thought, any form that comes to you, use it as the alambanam to see the truth. Because every thought is nothing but revealing this alone. Alright? Then when this is okay, you can open your eyes and try the same now. With a word or by just seeing in a situation. You will find these details in Drigdrishya Viveka. Good place to look is Drigdrishya Viveka, around verse 27 or so. You'll see it. 4 or 5, 6 mantras you'll see totally. It's a good place to look. All right. Can you explain the statement that you made? Expand the free will till you don't need the free will. I said that at the end, I think. See, basically, if we don't make an attempt, our free will is caught up in ragadvesha. You can't do what you want to do because your own likes and dislikes won't prevent you. So, how do you expand now? Manage your ragadvesha. Say no. Manage it. So, now you become freer. So, you can accept and not be worked up. You can do what has to be done even though you don't like it. You don't do though you want to. You like to do it because it's not to be done. That is increasing the free will. Till how much can you increase? You have samatvam. You accept things as they come. That doesn't mean you are free totally. You still are subject to karma phala. Then how do you become totally free? So when you understand this knowledge totally, clearly, then what do you need? You need nothing, you're totally free, which means you don't need a free will anymore. It will be totally free, but you don't need to use it to change anything in life. That's what I meant. Okay? 9:05. We have 3 questions. Should I finish it? 5 minutes or 10 max. Is it okay? If somebody wants to leave, please feel free. Okay? Because I'm taking extra time. Gita says this Jagat is made of 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. We also have 3 guna mix in different proportion. Every one is different step in ladder, which goes up to Turiya state. My question is, can one, by inner growth, go beyond guna, gunatita in one birth and merge with absolute, or it requires at least a few births? One birth is enough. No problem. Depends on you. Okay? But one birth is enough. There is no merger. Merger is only understanding, by the way. No physical merger. Okay. Swamiji, is rebirth possibility or it is sure? If you have knowledge and you're free, no possibility. If you don't have knowledge, definitely you'll be born. Okay? You had mentioned that one can have an abundance of desirable things, situations, etc., but one may not still get happiness unless one has right karma or punya for it. Can you explain this further? Did you mean that it has to be earned in keeping with dharma? What is punya you meant? What is meant by the shanta vritti? Can you speak a little more? See, I should probably have worded a little differently in hindsight, seeing the question now. We talk of something called, Shastra talks, Panchadashikara talks about this, called Ghora Vritti, Mudha Vritti, Shanta Vritti. Three kinds of vrittis he talks about. Shanta Vritti is, examples he gives I think are Kshama, acceptance, forbearance, we call it, right? And peace, non-resistance of things. These are Shanta. Mudha is like fear, sleep, that kind of thing, some things. Then you have Ghora, which I think are that drive, push, you feel pressurized to do something. Those are called Ghora Vritti. So now, if we have no learning, no inner growth, then the only time you will be happy is when you have Shanta Vritti, automatically. Because you want to eat, Puri Halwa, and Puri Halwa comes to you. Now you are Shanta. But if you get Poha, you will get upset. There is no Shanta Vritti there, because there is a Ghora Vritti perhaps. So these Vrittis have to be correct. And how will the Vrittis come? Samskaras will be there, partly. So if you are Prakrita, which means if you make no changes to how you are, you just go along like animal growing up, then all these Vrittis will come. But as you grow, even when a Ghora Vritti comes, you can say Ghora Vritti is Mithya, and you can still gain some joy there too. But the idea is, these Vrittis of that, what kind of Vritti comes, will determine, although every Vritti is Brahma, that Ananda will be visible to you, the experience Ananda, only in the right kind of Vrittis. Okay? This I think you will find more if you want to look up further in chapter 15 of Panchadashi. Okay? Your valuable guidance is sought. How to face a transformation life from Laukika to spiritual path. Studying Vedanta and concentration on inner sight, sometimes feeling sluggish attitude and poor decision making in normal course of life due to trying to avoid conflicts. See, for a person, studying Vedanta is okay. It is not the necessity first thing. Spiritual life means first understand that the problem is not the world, the problem is centered on my own thinking. Not even on me, but in a way that, the way I see things. So, I start seeing more Ishvara. Bring more Ishvara into one's life. That is the most significant thing. And not Ishvara as he is sitting in the temple and I will go and say, hey, why did you not do this? I will fight with you. All can be done. But more than that, you understand Ishvara is in the form of the laws. They are not changing. You recognize wherever situations come in life, this is how Ishvara is. You learn to accept. And when you learn to accept, it doesn't mean you approve and say it's all fine, nothing to be done. You are free to act. You act as you think you should. Bring about changes which you want to. No problem. You are free to do all that. Point is, you get to a situation where you grow to a point where you don't necessarily want the world to change. You reduce your dependency on the world for your comfort. That is the first step. And when you start seeing that the world cannot fulfill your needs, then Vedanta, you will get pulled to it, and you will find Vedanta will come to you. If you really pray for it earnestly, it will come to you. Okay? All right, we are done. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
After the meditation,